Hello, alright, you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen, home of gritty bow hunting films, interviews, tall tales, and a wee bit of manly boasting.
I'm South Cox, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Hey, this is Corey Jacobsen, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
We born and raised outdoors, and you've been listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
There you go.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Jordan.
And you're watching
The Gritty Bowmen.
You've never missed before, right? I mean, it's just never happened.
I haven't missed today.
Mountain Too High guy, the Prefontaine, he's good for scouting. So
Having all that elk meat in the freezer is more of a trophy for me than the antlers on the wall. I can't eat the antlers, you know.
Yeah. Not to be weird, there's a book called The 5 Love Languages that all men should read to help your marriage, or if you just want to pick up chicks.
Hey, can I borrow some toilet paper? Actually, just give me your bag of game bags because you obviously aren't going to use them.
After my divorce, I felt like I was this tall, read the book. Immediately I learned it helps with dating. It is a good book.
I've read the book too.
It's good for picking up chicks.
Editing stuff on your computer at home takes a toll on...
I told you got to sleep faster.
I told you.
What I do.
You just know when you see the elk, that's the one I want to shoot. Or, that one I don't really want to shoot.
In my case, that's all of them. No. I passed a few up, but that was in the first 5 minutes of the hunt.
If you like the show, please go to our website at grittybowmen.com and subscribe to this podcast and tell your mates and pals about us. Do us a favour and please take a moment to leave us a rating or a review on iTunes or on our YouTube channel. Send your questions and podcast ideas to grittybowmen@gmail.com. If you're listening to this on iTunes, you can see the video version of this podcast on our website at www.grittybowmen.com.
All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. I'm here with friend Corey Jacobsen with Elk 101, and I'm excited to have this conversation. We've been chatting a little bit offline before we got this podcast rolling, and I jotted down some notes for topics today, and we've got Corey has some exciting news coming up here, and so we're going to have him kind of share what's going on with Elk 101. I just noticed you got back from I thought about maybe doing this podcast over the weekend, but you were off in the snow chasing cats. And I saw that photograph on Facebook, which was really sad with the wolves. What's going on, man? What happened?
You know, it's I grew up with hounds. So we were always running cougars and bears. So predator management's been part of my life. I recognize the need for it and the importance of it. And so we took Friday and went out looking for a cougar track. And I've got a buddy with hounds, and I've got a couple old 1996 Polaris snowmobiles that do really well in 12 inches of snow, but throw them in 6 feet, and it's a different story. But we went out, didn't find any fresh cougar tracks, so we went into a canyon that I know holds some elk in the winter, and we saw some elk, found some elk, and it was the bulls. They're up higher. And we're going on the snowmobile down to the bottom of the canyon looking for a track, and started seeing blood in the snow. And as we're seeing this trail of blood going down in beds, I'm like, there's an injured elk here, and got down to the third pile of blood, and there's wolf tracks all around it. And I thought, I know what's going on. And the wolves had hamstringed the elk up the ridge, and it was running down and getting sick and bedding down. Then they'd come, and you could see where they surrounded it. And eventually they ran it down into the creek bottom and got its head underneath a log and started eating on it right there while it was alive. And we actually ran the wolves off it. We didn't see them, but coming down the canyon, they heard us. The tracks were fresh. It was snowing.
Wow.
And so we came down a beautiful 6x8 bull elk, just a great bull. And, I've got a whole bunch of hate mail from the wolf-loving crowd that, why is it okay for you to kill an elk, but then you shed a tear when the wolves do it? Why are you more important than them? And, it's a great question, but ultimately we're here to manage. We're doing a good job of managing numbers, and wolves are kind of throwing that out of balance for us. And so anyway, really cool part of that, my buddy who was with me said, "Do you think we can get them to howl?" And I'm like, man, we've made noise all over in this canyon with the snowmobiles, and So we climbed up on the ridge, and I howled 3 or 4 times, and it was quiet. And we waited about 2 minutes, and all of a sudden, across the canyon and up in another basin, they started howling.
Wow.
And as we're glassing looking for them, there was an absolute giant of a bull elk bedded over on that other hillside. Probably, I mean, looking from that far, he was every bit 350, if not maybe 360 or 370, a monster bull. And just laying there by himself. The wolves had all the bulls in that drainage split off by themselves, and I think they're just going one at a time and taking them out. But we ended up getting back on the snowmobiles and going back out of there, and we stopped just before we left the canyon. I howled again, and the wolves started howling. They were on that ridge where that big bull was at. And of course, it was right at dark. We didn't have a chance. It would have taken us probably 4 hours to hike in there. But they howled for a solid 40 minutes straight, just clear. You could hear it just like it was right there. And cool experience. But the part that's got me most excited is I know where a pack of wolves is, and I've got a long range rifle, so we're heading back in there.
And so, do you get to what are the with Idaho? You can just how's the tag situation work and the wolf hunting work?
You just go buy a tag. Wolf season's open from like August 30th in the fall through the end of March in most of the units. So it's a pretty liberal season, which just goes to show the low number of wolves that are killed in Idaho each year with that liberal of a season. They're a smart animal. They're tough to hunt. So I'm excited. This is a good prospect. I've got a good place to go. Yeah.
I mean, wolves clearly have much greater impact on the elk population than cougars, correct?
They do. And that's the thing, that these bulls that they're harassing, they're strong. They're not the sick and the weak. They're the dominant elk in there, and they've got them split up. So there's literally one elk on every ridge right now. They aren't grouped together like they were. And they get a bull down in a draw like that, and he's in deep snow, and it's pretty easy for him to start picking off the elk. The thing that's concerning is we found a moose that they'd killed on the way in there. We found 2 elk. So, I mean, all of these animals that we're seeing killed, and they aren't really getting eaten on. They'd eat the hamstring, the back end out of the elk.
Leave it.
But from the hips forward, it hadn't even been touched. And, the moose, it'd been there a while, but it was cleaned up by the birds, not by the wolves. So they go and they kill, and then they look for the next opportunity. And if they don't have that opportunity, they can go back and eat, but they aren't making good use of.
Yeah, they're not looking at it in terms of management,
right?
They're just out there doing what they've evolved to do, and that's to kill. I mean, I've worked with a lot of dogs doing protection work and just training, and a dog with drive, it wants to do what it's driven to do.
Totally.
And it doesn't matter. It's just they love it. They're driven to do it, and so you can't expect them to. If there's an opportunity to chase and to take down another animal, the excitement, the drive in doing so, it's still there, whether they're full or not. Whether they're satisfied or not. They're in terms of
if an opportunity to kill is there, they take that opportunity.
It's the sport. It's the excitement. You seen a dog that goes and gets a duck in negative 30 degree in these freezing frigid temperatures. That dog's insane, and it jumps in the water with glee and pulls that duck out, and then freezes on the shore and waits for the next one.
The next one.
Yeah, that is some serious drive. To over.
Well, and we had a blue heeler. And we got some baby chickens, and we had, I think, 19 baby chickens, and we had them fenced off really well so that the dog couldn't get in there. And one of our kids left the gate open, and the blue heeler got in there, and he killed all but one of those chickens. And there was one we named it Lucky after that because it's the only one that survived. But yeah, it just goes to show they kill because it's an instinct, and when they see an opportunity, they take that, and they don't do it. He wasn't doing it because he was hungry. He wasn't doing it. It's just that opportunity's there. And wolves are the same way.
So one of my questions is around, when we talk about that whole question about whether it's like the wolves have a right to kill elk, and and we see a wolf kill a big bull like that, and it's hard for us to see. Yet,
Are we jealous?
Yeah.
Do we wish it was us that killed it? Yeah, absolutely. But I think on a bigger scale, hunters manage. It's hunting is conservation. The Elk Foundation, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, has that tagline: "Hunting is conservation," and it is. It's because we're able to regulate populations of game on a much more acute level. Wolves go in, and you look at the Yellowstone herd of elk. Wolves are introduced there, and it annihilates them, and they don't bounce back quickly. You throw a low elk population into a hard winter, and then it struggles to recover, like the Loxon-Selway area of northern Idaho. Hard winters, overpredated, all of those things, and now all of a sudden there's an elk herd that just won't rebound. No matter what we do, it's struggling to rebound.
Well, what about the fact that, like you said, with wolves, it's harder for us to manage the population,
Totally.
right? With them introduced and killing 15 bulls, in one week period or something, that no longer are we tracking harvest rates and stuff through hunters and through tag quotas, and now we have this other variable that can swing dramatically based on how deep the snow was or where the wolves have roamed into this unit versus
how concentrated the elk are. Yeah, all of these factors.
And it gets a lot harder to manage, and the bigger that population gets. And the way that I look at it is elk are a renewable resource. We use them to feed families. We use those as, instead of buying beef at the store and pork or whatever, I'm out there shooting elk and deer and bringing those home. Well, it's hard for me to do that if the wolves have eaten most of them. And the tag quotas have dramatically decreased because the herds are on the major decline. Now I've got to go out and buy beef instead, or it's like, so it's hard for me. It's like I'm okay with wolves existing. I just want to keep them in check.
Totally.
The problem,
and that's the hard part. They were eradicated from this area for a reason, because they were hard to keep in check, and the damage that they do to the game populations compete with us. And it's if they're unmanaged and we're unmanaged, that's not a good thing. I would prefer not to have them here personally, just because of the damage they do and how hard they are to manage, but they're here and we don't have a say in that. So we do have a say in the management of them, fortunately, thanks to the efforts of a lot of groups, and our own state management agencies have been able to gain that control where it belongs. And now we have a responsibility to make sure we help keep them in check as part of our stewardship as hunters.
I'd prefer they not be here as well. Let them live in Canada. They were doing fine there.
There are other states I can think of that would be a great fit for wolves.
Yeah, like Washington.
Hey, perfect.
DC, I mean. All right. Anyway, we went off on that tangent. I was just that was a beautiful bull, and it was hard to see that. So, folks don't know. Some folks don't know that you are now the sole. You're the owner of Elk 101. Explain that.
Yeah, that's a math equation. So no, I started Elk 101 back in like 2008 timeframe, and it was created to be a resource for elk hunters. And whether that's just to come and look at pictures, video, learn how to elk hunt, whatever, that was my intention when we started content. And through that, we started getting sponsors and bringing in a little revenue. I was still working full time in the construction industry, and slowly becoming more involved and busy with Elk 101, and we decided to add a retail store. And so the online retail store, we started stocking product and shipping product and dealing with customer service and all that, and it evolved, and it turned into this snowball rolling downhill, and we added the forums and all of these things, and it got busy. And as if that wasn't enough, we decided to launch a magazine. And so about 5 years ago, we launched a magazine. And so now we're juggling Elk 101, the retail, the forums, the content, and putting together a magazine, a quarterly magazine, and it was insane. And so I made the decision to sell Elk 101 to focus on the magazine. And I sold Elk 101 to Camo Fire, Kendall and his team down in Utah. And it all went, good for me. I was able to focus on the magazine. Well, a year later, we sold the magazine. And so now I'm kind of sitting here with nowhere to play in the elk hunting industry anymore.
and why did you sell the magazine? Because it was doing well, wasn't it?
It was doing really well. Yeah, I loved it. It was what I wanted to be doing, the content side, the creating content. But I guess I saw a shift happening quickly towards digital.
Yeah.
And so we looked at taking the magazine digital and doing some things digitally with it.
I had a digital subscription for a while.
Yeah. But even with that, you're reading a PDF. I mean, that's basically, You're getting a PDF viewer, you're flipping pages.
It was not interactive. There were no links in there. There was not, and
you can do all of that. But ultimately, when I think of, I want to learn how to call elk, what am I going to do? I go to Google, I type in, how do I call elk? And I click on the first thing that comes up because it's the most popular.
Yep.
And so I started looking at what my goal was as far as creating elk hunting content. I needed a digital platform that allowed people to search, that allowed us to be able to continually update content and be able to interact with people.
Yeah.
I thought, that's vaguely familiar. Elk 101 is exactly that vehicle. So
you're like, you hit this, you're like, oops, I made a mistake.
Yeah, it wasn't a mistake, but I certainly, my heart lies with Elk 101, with the digital side, with that continual content.
I think the written media is very appealing, and you'd like to have your hands on something tangible, flip through pages, especially where, you didn't grow up with the internet and something as part of your normal, like you and I, it wasn't there when I was a kid. And so, it's hard to let go of that nostalgia related to, we grew up looking through magazines. We couldn't wait to get that subscription in the mail. But at the same time, you're so limited with written format. You got to collect the articles. By the time you get it up and out for print, you could have had that thing up months earlier. Just boom.
Totally. And the cost and all of the delivery mechanism. I mean, everything, the marketing of it, everything, and like you said, there is a place for print. And I love getting a magazine in the mail still. I just like to take it to hunting camp and have something to read. So that part of it I do miss. But to be able to reach more people with the things that we have lined up and the projects that we're working on, digital is definitely a better format for that.
Yeah, it's cool because I went to ATA. I get home that weekend. I put together a little highlight film of the trip, put it out the next day. It's immediate. People get news right away. They can, whatever message you want to share, you can share immediately when you're dealing with digital content and a digital platform. In
today's world, everyone wants things now.
Yeah.
They don't want to wait 3 months for a report on what happened at ATA.
And not only that, you can learn so much so fast. When I want to learn how to elk call, I don't want to wait for a string of magazines for 3 months. I want to go out and learn in, a couple of days. I want to watch 50 movies on it.
I can watch reviews on which calls to use. I can look at pictures. I can watch a YouTube video. I can do all that. I can be calling elk in 4 hours instead of waiting a year for these different pieces. So there's definitely value in print. There's a benefit to print. But for what my goals were in the direction that I wanted to be heading, we needed to go digital.
So you went back. So you talked to Kendall?
I talked to Kendall at Camo Fire and just said, hey, we're selling the magazine. I want to be involved in some digital aspects of elk hunting. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, let's talk. Let's form a partnership. You come back and control the content. We'll run the retail side of things because that's what we're good at. And so we went through a lot of different scenarios and options that we had. And at the end of the day, I just kept my focus was these projects that we're going to be working on this year. And Kendall's partner finally said, it sounds to me like you need Elk 101, the content side. Why don't you just buy it back? And I said, okay. So I've bought back Elk 101, sole ownership of it. But the good part is Kendall and his team are going to continue to fulfill the store and operate all aspects of the retail store. So they're stocking things, they're marketing the store, they're fulfilling that. That's what they're good at. They've got a great team in place for customer service and fulfillment. So it's really the best of both worlds there.
Tim Burnett opened a can of worms for me when he, in the last podcast, said, "Raise your hand if you want a Gritty Bowmen T-shirt and hat." And I got bombarded by emails and PMs saying, "Where's your T-shirt and hats? We'll buy them," all that. And I'm like, part of the reason I've stalled on that is because I don't want to be in the T-shirt and hat shipping business.
Oh, and it just adds another duty to your day.
Yeah, and I'm already so busy, but. So
and you've got a good-looking hat. I mean, there's nothing wrong with your hat.
Right. Although I've been accused of being a Mountain Ops walking billboard. So, but I was with Mountain Ops before they were cool. Like, I was wearing Mountain Ops hats on the first, right at the very beginning. But they've been sponsoring the podcast. We partnered. And we're going to do more together as well. And Jordan and Casey have just been like big behind the scenes. They've been highly influential and supportive of Gritty Bowmen. And I love their products. I love how they're branding themselves in the market, who they're working with. And so
and that's goes back to when they very first came out. They approached us and said, "Do you have a title sponsor for the magazine?" And we said no, and so we formed that partnership then, and I'm excited. We just last week agreed that they're the title sponsor of Elk 101, so it's elk101.com, fueled by Mountain Ops, and it's that partnership. Their vision and where they're going is, we're on a parallel course, and anything we can do together to lift the sea. It's all the ships are going to rise together, and I want to be involved in that. I want to make sure that we're doing it together and working together on it. So it's exciting.
Yeah. I think it's pretty neat. In general, it seems like the hunting community. I don't know what the numbers are right now, but I feel like there's a swell of new hunters. Just in those that are following the podcast. That send me emails and stuff all the time. They're like, "Hey, I'm getting back into hunting. I'm getting back into archery hunting." There's been a lot of that too, and it's neat to see that.
Totally.
So you have Elk 101, and so what's kind of on the plate going forward?
Yeah, so we've got. I can't share all the details now, but we're launching a new film on Wednesday, which that's our big, coolest, right in our face feature that's coming right now.
Now tell me this film is awesome. It's
okay. No, it is. It's awesome.
It does look. You cannot deny that the trailer looks cool. It looks cool. You put that out as a teaser
so
for.
Put 2 teasers out. Yep, and that's it's a 7-second or 8-second snippet of what the film's going to be. It's just we went to Wyoming last year. We've done the podcast of that. How Dirk missed twice. We get to see what happened there. He's using the excuse of hitting limbs, and I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But we get to see that.
It must be hard for Dirk to be your friend sometimes.
Probably really hard. My poor wife. My wife she consoles all of my friends. She's like, "He's hard to live with. I get it." And thank you. If I need to send a check for you hanging out with him for a week at hunting camp, I'll do that. And no, Dirk is. I wasn't about to tease him after the second miss, but now there's been enough time that I think he's okay.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think he likes it.
Plus, when you put as many big bulls on the ground as Dirk, it's like it actually comforts the rest of us.
It just shows he's human.
Yeah.
That's the great part is, hey, Superman fell. It's, he's human.
Yep. No, absolutely. It lets us know too that you know, missing is part of hunting.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how long you've been doing it or how hard you or how expert you are, those things can still happen. You know, so.
Yeah. I've got to ride this horse as long as I can because Dirk's probably not going to miss for a long, long time
Well,
after this one.
And there's, such a thing as you got to be careful. I mean, it's probably going to come back and haunt you later.
See, it has. I mean, I'm certainly not going to say I've never missed. So it's finally good to be able to tease Dirk once.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So yeah, the film, the whole, I guess, theme or concept of the film is the range of emotions that we experience as bow hunters. And we did a film 2 years ago. I made a bad shot on an elk, and just that range of emotions you feel in that moment of the excitement. You've got the elk, you hit the elk. He may be laying right there. You have that anticipation, that optimism, that hope, but at the same time, there's a knot in your stomach. Your gut aches because you might not find it. You know that he may be laying up there wounded. And so that whole trying to balance those emotions, that, exhilaration with the whole just feeling terrible about it. This one goes through, this film is more the wide range of emotions from start to finish. We went to Wyoming 2 years before, and both Dirk and I came home with our tags. And so going back, there was some feelings of insecurity. There was some, last time we were here, it didn't end well for us. But at the same time, there's also that anticipation and that redemption. Going through, some days we didn't hear an elk bugle, and other days we couldn't get away from elk. And so just, we try to show that range of emotions. And then, the ending is pretty spectacular.
So is the ending a little controversial? The last podcast we did, okay, I mean, every podcast I do, I always learn some behind the scenes stuff about different people because there's always someone who wants to email in and explain to me how my guest is evil.
Are you saying there are haters in podcasts too?
There's a few. For the most part, it's all positive. But I have. There were individuals who are not happy with your frontal shot, as we talked about in that other podcast, and we've talked about this before. It's very it can be controversial, and you mentioned in that podcast how you actually would prefer a frontal shot at close range to a quartering away shot on a bull elk because they're such a big animal. And there were a number of emails I got about how, in the past, it's one of your favorite shots was a quartering away, and now you're saying you don't like the quartering away shot. So
first off, let me set the record on that. I have never said a quartering away shot was my favorite shot. So that's twisting my words. Quartering away shot is a large target. You have a large target there. The thing I don't like about quartering away shots is you don't usually get a large blood trail. And you usually don't, I mean, the way that you shoot a quartering away shot, you're typically catching one lung and you're not getting a good exit hole. So that quartering away shot is a lethal shot, but it's not as quick of a kill typically. And obviously you can hit heart, you can hit liver and put them down. I mean, but I would say on the scale of the whole there, it's not as high of a percentage of a quick kill shot. A frontal shot at close distance will put that elk down. Watch the film.
Yeah.
You'll see how quickly it puts an elk down. It is mass trauma and blood loss. And that's what we want as hunters, is a quick, clean kill. And so, yeah, my favorite shot is the frontal shot. Do I take the frontal shot every year on every elk? Absolutely not. But if I'm presented with the right opportunity, I am very confident in that frontal shot.
So, Corey, where can people go to learn how to take a frontal shot?
Elk101.com would be a great place. So, no, we're launching the film Wednesday, January 20th. So just it's out. Go check it out. But you'll see the frontal shot. And, you can see where the arrow goes in. You can see all of that. And then on Elk 101, we've got some things coming out in the near future that elk hunters are really going to like. when it comes to education and learning about elk hunting. I'm not talking, here is how, here's where you park your truck, you walk up a ridge 1 mile, you blow. It's not that kind of education. It is the details, the nitty gritty, everything about elk hunting, including where to take a frontal shot, what the X-ray of an elk looks like from the front, what the bone structure looks like, where you need to hit, where the vitals are, where the circulatory system runs, all of that. So there's a sneak peek of a couple months down the road.
I'm excited for that. It's good. So big things in store with Elk 101.
Definitely. Yeah, we're super excited.
So what's the date of the film again?
January 20th, Wednesday, January 20th. It'll be live on elk101.com. Go check it out and leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
A couple days from now, I'm going to try to get this podcast up today, and yeah, it's and what do people need to do to see the film?
Nothing. Well, when they get to the website, there's going to be a screen that asks for their name and email address, and that's so we can spam them like crazy. No, we don't spam. We like to give away free gear, and that's the great thing about the sponsors that we have on Elk 101. They're very generous, and so we have, just for watching the film, we're giving away 2 pair of Vortex binoculars, a rifle scope from Vortex. We're giving away some Sitka gear. We're giving away mountain ops every day, elk calls from Bugling Bull. We've got just a ton of gear that we're giving away just for watching the film. No strings attached. So your email address, when you enter it in, that's your ticket that gets you into the show. Yeah. And we promise we won't. We're only going to use it to help better the content that we have on Elk 101 for surveys, to get your input and things like that. So
that's pretty sweet. That's pretty neat. The 20th, and then when are you going? What are your plans for this year?
We're just we're in the process of solidifying those, but it looks like we're going to try to go back to Wyoming. It's a general tag, so we have to put in for the draw. We're going to try to do that, and then I think I'm going to be hunting with Randy Newberg again, which I'm excited about because I went to Montana with him last year and I did not kill an elk, and I'm excited.
That bothers you, doesn't it?
It bothers me, and it's not a numbers game. It's not anything other than I failed.
Yeah.
And it's, that's really, it eats at me and it drives me. That's what's pushing me right now. I'm looking at my prime bow sitting right there on my desk. I'm looking at a 3D elk target out in my backyard. And when we get off of this podcast, I'm picking up my bow and shooting it. And it drives me. I mean, it literally, I lay at bed at night and I think, what if, or if only.
Yeah. Things
would have, one decision here or one shot there, and it would have been different. That's the difference between failure and success. And I'm already looking forward to redemption in September.
So tell me this: how often? What's your preparation in the off season look like? Like you did Train to Hunt at one point, didn't you?
I did a couple workouts from Train to Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I did triathlons for a while, and so physically, I believe I'm not going to say that you have to go to the gym and spend 4 hours a day in the gym. I do like some of the benefits of a gym, having the equipment and some of the different exercises I like to do. But ultimately, it's just I want to be in better shape in September than I am right now.
Yeah,
I want to be in better shape in September than I was last September. So for me, it's just a matter of improving myself, not getting to some, world athlete class, which if you're a world athlete, you're a better elk hunter than if you weren't a world athlete. I'm not saying you're a better elk hunter than someone who's not a world athlete, but that goes back to that comparing ourselves to someone else, and there's no winner there.
Yeah, you can, being in better condition can only help you.
Totally.
So aside from physical conditioning,
yeah,
what?
There's a lot of other things, and it's I wouldn't say I'm obsessed. My wife, she's gone right now, so she's not listening in, but she might say I'm obsessed. I'm not obsessed. I'm passionate. I'm not addicted. I could quit for 11 months anytime that I needed to. But yeah, I love
11 months.
Yeah. So I mean, throughout the year, I am doing things that I hope will make me a better elk hunter.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you think will have the greatest? What are a couple of things that you found will make a big impact on and improving your success for the next season.
Totally. And one thing I've learned in aligning with that is I don't think there's one thing that you can perfect that's going to make you a successful elk hunter. I think it's a whole bunch of pieces there, and the more of those pieces that you're able to pull together, the more opportunities you're going to have, and the better chance for success. But if you think, I mean, physical conditioning is huge. If you can go day after day and follow those elk and not be, if you can have the confidence to go wherever you need to do physically to get to the elk and to get it done, that's a big advantage. Persistence, just putting your mind to it, and there's a physical aspect to that persistence.
Because you were throwing out, you were doing like how many miles in one day?
A lot. I mean, like
10,
in
14?
Wyoming, we averaged a little over 10 miles a day, and that's on GPS. That's not, that's probably 10 miles over to that mountain. That is GPS miles.
Bona fide miles.
7 days of hunting, we had done 72.3 miles or something on the GPS. The one day we did over 14, and this isn't Primo's country. This is the backcountry of Wyoming. It's steep. It's it's beautiful. And you look at it, it's like, I could hike all day through that country. And you get to the first hillside that you climb from, 5,000 to 9,000 feet. And it's like, I don't ever want to have to climb up that thing again.
Yeah.
But it's steep country.
That's, being able to just to go 10 miles in one day, chasing elk. I think that is, for a lot of guys, that's way out of their physical capacity.
And it's not the 10 miles in one day that gets to you. It's on day 6 when you have to go 10 miles again.
Yeah.
That's when you really start to feel, and that's the mental part when it hits you. And it's like, let's just sleep in today. Let's take a day off.
I think there's a lot of people, Corey, who might think that, you're just such a talented caller that you only hike 2 miles a day and then
I wish.
just call them in. But no, you're putting serious work into it. And I think that's something that a lot of elk hunters, or especially those coming to do elk hunting for the first time from the East Coast, I don't think they realize how much it takes, especially if it's over the counter or an easy draw unit, a boots to the ground and being able to just cover country is just it's just part of this whole thing.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's the point I was trying to make. When if you put all your effort into one aspect of elk hunting, it's not going to bring you success. Yes, it will maybe improve a little bit, but being a great caller, I'm not saying I'm a great caller. I love to call elk, and I spend a lot of time calling elk, but if I wasn't in good shape, and if I couldn't shoot my bow, and if I didn't pay attention to the wind, and if I didn't move at the right time, I would never tag an elk. I mean, yes, I might get lucky one time and get one, but consistent success is putting all of those things together every time and having luck.
Well, and the other thing that always surprises me is the guys who they put all that time into the physical fitness, studying, reading, but they shoot their bows almost never.
Start August 15th and shoot a few times.
Yep. And I think the reality is, and I've seen this time and time again, where people have put forth all that effort. They practice, or they run, they get in fit shape, they scout, but the shooting takes a back seat. And then in the heat of the moment, after you've worked, you've gone your 70 miles for the week. It's the last day, the last hour, the last day. And they just haven't shot their bow enough to be familiar with it or comfortable with it. They didn't tune their broadheads or knock tune their arrows or any, they don't really know. They just put the broadheads on that day or that before the hunt started. Just things like that.
And a brand new broadhead they've never shot before.
Right.
And my field tips are good. So
exactly.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. And so few opportunities. Dirk
that's
talks
what I mean.
about.
Like, you get one call and it's perfect, and then you don't capitalize on the shot because that's a part of your game you just left out.
Yeah.
You took for granted. Like anybody can make a 20-yard shot with a compound.
Totally.
Not really.
And you can, but you might only get one, and you might not even get that. So you better be prepared to.
Yeah.
for a 30 or whatever it is. But there's so many things that go into it, and the more that you're willing to do and able to do, it's not, you don't have to change your lifestyle. You don't have to give up anything. Well, you might have to sacrifice a little bit, but you don't have to give up important things. You can make time to become a better elk hunter. And the more that you just read stories, watch videos, watch what people are doing, learn from those who are successful, the more that you're able to do that, the more it's going to add to your success. And, I have people all the time that kill an elk every year that will come and ask me questions. How would I do this? And it's, well, here's my opinion, but I'm still trying to figure out some things that give me your advice on this. And we make mistakes. We had you'll see in the film, we had a 6-point bull that came right in. Dirk called it in beautifully on a string, and it came to 6 yards, and I didn't have a shot because of a decision I made. And I talked to Dirk afterwards, on film there. It's in the film, and I just said, after nearly 30 years of elk hunting, you'd think that these newbie mistakes would get a little fewer and farther between, but we still make them.
Yeah.
And that was the difference between shooting that bull at that time and potentially coming home without an elk.
That's tough. I was just watching Solo Hunter last night, and Remy Warren is carrying both a rifle and a bow, right? And he's filming himself, and he's like,
Yep.
I carry both because if I can shoot one with the bow, I want to do that. But toward the end of the hunt, I find that I can always get something on film and stuff if I shoot it with a rifle. But so I carry both. It's like it's no big deal, right? And we're sitting there, me and Anthony and Ben, we're like, all right, if I'm carrying the camera, should I bring my bow or should I just, do I leave it at camp? And it seems like 9 times out of 10, we just go, just man up, carry the bow. And so we carry the bow just in case, right? And then we never use it. And then the one time we say, you know what? I'm the camera guy today. I shouldn't be carrying a bow. And we leave it. That's when the bull comes in at 6 yards of your dreams and you don't have a bow. I mean, It's just, I don't know. It's a tough call.
So a perfect example in our Wyoming hunt, Dirk was a shooter. We switch each day, shooter, caller, back and forth. Dirk was the shooter, and I made the decision to leave my bow. And I had my bugle tube and my backpack on, and the big 6x7 bull that he shoots at 28 yards was 11 yards from me frontal, bugling in my face, and I'm crouched down behind a stump. You can't quite see me in the film, but you can see where I'm at. You can see me in the frame with the elk and the stump there. Had I made the decision as a caller to bring my bow, and not that we would shoot an elk out from underneath each other, but that elk would have had an arrow in it before Dirk got a chance to hit a limb. And I didn't. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's like, okay, I'm the caller today. I need to focus on that. I'm not packing my bow. I could have had 7 pounds of bow strapped to my backpack and been okay.
Yeah.
And you'll see early in the hunts, sometimes we're both packing our bows, and towards the end of the hunt, it's like, I'm not shooting today. I'm leaving my bow. And fortunately, Dirk and I shoot the same draw length and the exact same bow. And so if it came down to he shot an elk and there was still another one bugling, I could grab his bow and go kill it and be completely comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the things coming up. Elk 101. It's pretty easy to find. elk101.com.
Yep.
And the film is out on Wednesday. I'm excited to see that. And yeah, I'm excited to see how that's going to roll out. You're launching it on a lot of platforms.
We are.
We encourage people to share that with as many friends as they can. And is it going to be hosted on YouTube?
So what we're doing, and that brings up a great point. We've launched a lot of products a lot of different ways. We've had the magazine, we've done the full draw film tour with films before. We've done DVDs, and with our approach to going digital, we're launching this film digital, and it'll be strictly on elk101.com. So you've got to go to elk101.com to watch it. In the future, it may be available, through YouTube and whatnot. But we're just trying to get people to come to the website, check it out. We've got new articles that are posted there at least once a week, and they're all aimed at making you a better elk hunter. Cool. And it's not just me writing them. We've got guys like Brian Call and 20 guys on a pro staff there. Our pro staff, between the 20 guys, have hunted for over 500 years. and killed over 400 elk. Is that even possible? Yes. And those are, yes.
That's pretty cool.
It's an impressive group of guys who are public land, regular guys who have jobs and support families and love elk hunting and have had success. And we're able to bring them all together and share their knowledge and their experience and their philosophies and opinions and strategies with anybody who wants to type in elk101.com on the computer.
Yeah. Well, that's neat. So, I wondered, how the film would be. And so perhaps you're going to have some more films soon, after.
Perhaps.
Because
Our
wonder.
goal is to try, at least during the good times of the season, to be launching films, to try to have one at least every other month, if not every month. And quality films. We're not talking some of the films of the past that we've even done, some of the just shoot and kill type stuff. These are going to be good films.
That's neat because it's neat to have that platform to put a film in, for someone to share a film, through Elk 101. It's a big, it's got some reach. It's growing all the time. So
definitely, when I sold it and through the last year, it's continued to grow, and we're talking 6 to 8 million page views a year from people who are coming to check out elk hunting. And that's not individual, unique people, but that's a whole lot of traffic and a lot of people that are researching elk hunting, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's what keeps us going.
Absolutely. Well, Corey, thanks for coming on the show, and folks, go check out elk101.com and look up the film on Wednesday.
Definitely. Brian, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Stay gritty.
All right.
Okay, gritty friends. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word gritty at checkout. If you're a hardcore elk hunter, or you want to be, go to the Elk 101 website online and check them out. Our friend Corey Jacobsen is killing it with some of the best elk hunting information and entertainment on the web. If you haven't heard, we're doing a huge gear giveaway to try and grow and expand the gritty community on Facebook and Instagram. I asked a bunch of friends to pitch in on this gear giveaway, and they all came through with some awesome stuff. Our friends at Kafaru, Rockslide, First Light, Phelps Game Calls, One Shot Gear, Mountain Ops, Triple X Archery, Blacktail Outdoors, and Is It September Yet are pitching in some sweet gear for the giveaway. We'll announce all the details in the next few weeks. All you have to do to be entered to win is like our Gritty Bowmen Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.